All right. Hey, everyone. I am with Mr. Yunior Santana, who is our new sales director in Florida. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Gillen. Appreciate it.
So let's just get to know you. Let's do a little speed dating round here.
All right.
So where did you grow up and how did you find yourself in this industry?
Good. That's a great question, man. So I grew up in Miami, Florida. And when I was very young, I was 17, I started at a call center. I used to work at Sears.
Okay.
It's no longer around.
Yeah.
And I did that from ages 17 to 25. Right around that time, I saw a number of folks heading over to one of the insurance carriers. Mm-hmm. They're out of Broward. And I got a call one day, and they said, hey, man, there's some good opportunities here. I says, well, I've never done that. Mm-hmm. I'm not even licensed, so, I don't know how that's going to go. But, so I ended up showing up and, began with that carrier there, was with them for 10 years. And then went on to do several different things in the industry. But, yeah, it was really at an early age, at 25. And I was kind of just thrown into it, right? Unlicensed, like many folks, I suppose, start.
Yeah.
And, that's where I felt I went into Medicare school, mm-hmm. is what I call it. Mm-hmm. So it was a great time there, and it was a really good experience for me to get started with one of the corporate national carriers.
Yeah. So you were in the call center world, ever like out on the streets, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So initially, my first 10 years was in the call center.
Yep.
Right. I did a lot of training for them across the country, as well as manage some of their telesales teams. And then, with another carrier, I ended up being on the field. And that was some good exposure to that part of the industry, mm-hmm. Which is very unique, very different in the call center world. But, yeah, I've now had the chance to do both.
Yeah. So you've been carrier, you've been on the independent side, you've been call center, you've been field. So it sounds like you're very equipped to help everybody.
Sure. I'd like to think that, yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say are the unique advantages or challenges of doing it one way or the other?
Oh, great. So out in the field, it's the challenges, particularly where I'm from in South Florida, is the competition.
Okay.
Right? There's a ton of competition. It's a business that has been there now for many, many years, given the fact that Florida has a lot of retirees, particularly South Florida. So the competition is very tough. So to gain new business, you have to get creative, right? On the call center side, the marketing is done for you.
Right.
These carriers and agencies spend a ton of money on getting the phone to ring. And, of course, you're expected to close, right? So the call center side, you touch around 80 to 100 people a day. Out in the field, 3 to 4 that you're going to have to follow up with, numerous amount of times. So the challenge is definitely gaining the business independently on your own, knowing that the competition out there is so stiff, both on the agent side and on the carrier side, right?
Yeah.
The plans are very, they're designed to include a lot of great benefits. So gaining that business, it proves to be very challenging. Call center, you're just sitting there taking calls, right? So from the entire country, by the way. So
right,
the business comes to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people, especially the last few years, especially when we were like on the lockdowns and all that fun stuff, experimented with telesales. But I've found that most people, at least the field agents, really still prefer to do what we're doing right now, if they can.
Yeah.
What do you like about this industry? You've stuck with it for your whole career, it seems like.
Yeah.
So why do you do it? Why do you like it?
So I'll tell you, sales has always been my thing, right? When you're a salesperson and when you've done sales your whole life, whether it's been, inside a call center or outside in the field, once you learn you're good at it, you really learn to feel comfortable with it. And, I've had a lot of opportunities to train people in sales, and that's what I really like, right? But I would say the biggest part is helping that population that I think needs it the most. So I'm from South Florida, and there's a lot of folks there that are not educated on what we do. because they're not from this country. So they need all the help they can potentially get.
Yeah.
And they just want to meet someone that's trusted. They want to meet someone that they can have for, the entirety of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I like doing that, right? I like doing that because I'll give you an example. You buy car insurance, you find a consultant that does it for you.
Yeah.
My car insurance person, I've been with them since I'm 15.
Oh, wow.
So never left them, never had a reason to. They always help me out. I feel supported. And I feel that with healthcare, it's the same thing, just much more important, right? So helping those people with a really dire need that they would otherwise not get in their own language, right? I'm bilingual. I speak Spanish as well. I think that's an important piece.
Yeah. Talk to us about the bilingual piece too, and the uniqueness of that in Florida, especially.
Yeah. So your Hispanic, Latino population, they don't speak the language. They're not educated on the product. Therefore, the trust is not there, and it's much more difficult to gain, right? Because they typically come from a place where maybe it's difficult to do real trusted business. So they do have that wall. But I will say this: once you gain their business, you have their business for life, and they will refer to you, send you referrals, throughout your career. But it is difficult to get through to them because they are very they don't trust, and they have that wall that you have to kind of knock down, and they do buy based off of family, close friends. That's their buying habits.
Yeah.
Given that they don't understand the language. So, but once you win them over, you have a member for life.
Yeah, for sure. I think, we have agents all over the country, of course, but we have a lot in bilingual areas.
Sure.
So I think there's a lot our agents could learn from you and would want to learn from you. You're going to be mostly working in Florida.
Yes.
So CP has been covering that up until this point. How did you meet him? What's the story there, and how did he reel you in to work with TBI?
That's a great question. So when I worked for one of the large carriers, whom I was with for 5 years, I was leading one of the call centers down there in South Florida, and I met CP. He was out in the field at the time. I think he was one of the field managers. And it's just one of the people that you see across the hallway and so forth, and we got to talk, and he learned a little bit about what I did. And I saw him very often coming to me and asking me questions, right? So he kind of leaned on me for that. He was new to the business at the time. He comes from the automotive world.
Yeah.
So he was new to the business. We became close friends. Obviously, when you start somewhere, you need someone that you can lean on and someone that you could go to for questions. Typically they'll say, well, you'll have a team here to support you, and that's great. But there's always someone that you have some affinity with, and we found that. And, we kept in touch ever since. This was, this is more than 10 years ago. So we kept in touch ever since, and I knew that he was on the FMO side and so forth, following him on LinkedIn and other social media paths. And once I went independent, I got to talking to him. He says, "Listen, there's this opportunity." I had already, been to one of the summits for TBI, so I had already seen what the company was doing and so forth, and I really loved it. So he came in and I says, "Man, I think this would really be a good fit. Why don't we get the conversation going?" Mm-hmm. And just recently we got the conversation going, and here we are. But we've had a pretty close relationship here in the last 10 years.
That's great.
So it's always good to know that the industry is big in Florida, but it's also very close knit, right? Yeah. So you got those 4 or 5 people that that you can kind of reach out to, and because we've always kept in touch, this was a good pairing, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. He's done a great job, obviously, an amazing job growing that market. Sure. He's now branching out, right? Doing like East and West Coast.
Yeah, national. Yeah. So no pressure for me.
Yeah. So we're excited for the growth. Happy to have you. It's nice to meet you, get to know you better. Anything else you want to wrap up with? Why should agents partner with you in Florida? Something like that. Oh,
wow. Oh, the pitch. Okay,
the pitch, great. Yeah.
So listen, my experience is this. Again, big industry, but close-knit partnerships, right? There's a lot of FMOs out there. Some are national, some are regional, some are medium-sized, some are small. And I'll say this to anybody who wants to get into this business. Really, all you need and all you're looking for as an agent, having done it myself, is someone to answer your phone call. It sounds really, basic. This is not, revolutionary.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if that's what you were expecting, but someone has to answer your phone call. Someone has to be the subject matter expert, right? Because agents come into this industry independently. All of a sudden, they're let out in the street and they don't know what to do, whether to go left or right. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want to be. I want to be that guidance. I want to be that hand that pulls you in. And make sure that you're comfortable with what you're doing and you're doing it compliantly.
Yeah.
Having come from a call center, compliance is number one. Everything is recorded. Everything is, viewed very, under a microscope. So I think that out in the field, people feel a little bit more flexibility, and a little bit more freedom to maybe, do some things that they're not comfortable with or that they're unsure. So I want to be the one that guides them into doing it the right way. The business is here to be around forever. So all you need is for someone to guide you in the right manner and create that partnership. And I believe that once you do, they'll bring people into the team and they'll cheerlead for you, right? So it's kind of just doing the basics, honestly, for me.
Yeah, I'd say that's actually a great pitch because so many agents, we've heard this feedback, like they will partner with an FMO and they never hear from them again, which is crazy, but it does happen.
It does.
So having someone like you with years and years of experience on all sides of the business, and then you can kind of come along with this brokerage platform.
Sure.
Like, let me plug you into this, but then you have me there in the field with you.
Yeah, I'm the number one resource, and I'm the one that's there to, kind of open the door for you and just really help support you, right? And not leave you out there alone to fend for yourself.
Yeah.
And again, it's basic, but that's what's worked for me. And if I was an agent, that's what I would want.
Yeah.
And I was an agent, and that's what I needed, right? There's a lot of times I felt alone and didn't know who to reach out to. But if you have that guidance there and that helping hand, it'll certainly make it much more easier for you to get started in the industry.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for being on the podcast. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Gillen. Thanks for having me.